Ghosts of Tsushima has a massive open world with tons of things to do, but some of these things are crucial if you want to get more out of your experience, like secret vendors, missable weapons and unlocks, so here is everything to help you get the most out of the game. Starting with the mythic tales marked with a blue icon on your map. These are special side quests that all start with a beautifully animated tale, and they always lead to a major new unlock for Jin. If you want a powerful new sword attack, then totally do the Heavenly Strike mythic tale that you start over here on the map, or you can also get the ability to ignite your katana to set enemies on fire by going over here. One I definitely recommend doing is the Curse of Uchitsune, which starts over here in Hiyoshi Springs, as it will reward you with the powerful longbow for longer range kills. Totally do these optional missions when you see them, as they are not only some of the best quests in the game, but they also give you special unlocks you otherwise won't be able to use throughout the rest of your playthrough. However, you won't be able to complete all of them straight away, because the map of Tsushima Island is gradually unlocked throughout the main story. The game is divided into 3 acts, and conveniently, the island is separated into 3 different parts. So if you're someone who enjoys doing all the side content first, you'll eventually run into a point where you've done everything you can and need to progress the main story to unlock the next region. Which might be a good idea regardless, as the story also unlocks some key new features and abilities for Jin, like a grappling hook or the versatile short bow. You'll also be introduced to several key characters that are willing to help you in the defense of Tsushima Island. Some of these, like Sensei Ishikawa or Lady Masako, even have their own quest lines with some important unlocks as well. I especially recommend Yuriko's questline in chapter 2, which unlocks after visiting the Sakai estate over here on the map. This gives you access to hallucination darts that, much like Berserk darts in Assassin's Creed, turn enemies against each other. Oh, and by the way, you might want to prepare some tissues, because the end of the questline is a real heartbreaker. If you need some time to recover from that, it's nice to go on a countryside ride with your trusty horse, as there are a lot of worthwhile activities you can run into when simply exploring too. And Ghost is a bit different from most games in this regard, because you have no minimap. Instead, setting a destination on the map will make the wind blow in that direction, so you can use that to guide you. That does mean you'll have your eyes on your environment at all times, and Ghost makes great use of this by giving you environmental clues that lead to interesting stuff. A smoke plume in the distance, a bird whistling for your attention, or a fox nudging you in a direction can all lead to side content, so keep an eye on your surroundings to see if you spot anything interesting. Especially the foxes I mentioned are pretty important, as they lead you to special shrines that can increase the amount of charms you can equip. These grant special passive bonuses that can be used to fine-tune your playstyle, and by hunting down these shrines, you'll actually unlock some powerful charms too. For the most impactful ones, you'll want to look for Shinto shrines, which are platforming challenges that are usually located on the top of mountains or cliff sides, like the one over here on the map. Finishing one gives you a new major charm, which are the ones that have the most impactful buffs. If you'd rather do something more relaxing, you can look for hot springs too, which allow you to reflect on certain events in Jin's life, and in doing so, increase your maximum health a little bit as well. The bigger reward is the outfit you get after finding all of them, as I don't think I need to explain why the Fundoshi is the best looking armor in the game. But the most common and straightforward side activity you'll come across are areas occupied by Mongol forces, which you can liberate to earn more experience and upgrade materials to improve your weapons and armor. Upgrading your weapons has the obvious benefit of increasing their damage, and considering the Mongol forces you encounter grow progressively stronger, you'll need that if you want to survive, especially since later upgrades allow you to kill some enemies in a single hit. But upgrading your armor is equally as important, as each armor set has 3 unique passive buffs, which become stronger when you upgrade it. You'll also change the appearance of an armor when upgrading, although you can revert back to a previous look if you don't like the new style. So good to keep an eye out for chests containing upgrade materials so you can improve your gear, but you also want to keep an eye out for Mongol leaders. Not all camps have one, you'll often see if it does in the optional objectives. And these elite enemies are very important, as they grant you progress towards unlocking your next stance. Stances are crucial in Ghost, as they allow you to counter specific types of enemies. You start with the stone stance, effective against other swordsmen, but you'll quickly unlock the water stance too, which is much more effective against enemies with a shield. And then later on, you also unlock the wind stance to counter spear wielding enemies, and the moon stance that's effective against the larger brute enemies. But yeah, the quicker you unlock these, the more effective you are in combat, and while you get experience from defeating these Mongol leaders, there's another thing you can do to unlock stances even quicker. If you sneak up on a Mongol leader, you can observe them from the shadows, which grants you an extra point of stance progression on top of the one you get from killing them. Again, look for the optional objectives to see if this is an option. There are also many side quests that offer worthwhile rewards, but there is one in particular that you want to keep an eye out for, which is called Fit for a Khan. It starts at the Jokagu temple over here on the map, and it's pretty lengthy, but it rewards you with an amazing armor set that allows you to fool the Mongol soldiers into thinking you are one of them. So while it doesn't necessarily look stealthy, it is one of the best stealth armors you can get. It is located in the Act 3 region though, so it will take a while before you're able to unlock it. But we have a video up on the channel going over all the best armors in the game, including ones you can get much earlier. So I'll link to that one in the video description. Subscribe if you want to see more Ghost videos, and leave a like if you enjoyed this one so far. Staying on the note of armor though, there's a lot you can do to customize the look of the player character Jin. I already mentioned upgrading armor unlocks new looks, but there are also vendors that sell you new dye so you can change the colors on an armor set as well. On top of that, your helmet and face item do not have any stat bonuses tied to them, so you can mix and match the masks and helmets from different sets to create unique looks. You can even find and buy new headgear out in the world, like this badass blindfold that you get from over here on the map. There are even two special merchants that sell all black and all white armor dyes. One can be found over here on the map, and the other one is in this specific spot. I really love the black version of the Gosaku armor, but yeah, if you have a specific color scheme in mind, now you know where to look. Oh, and by the way, a nice little trick: if you don't like the bow and quiver as part of your outfit, you can remove those via the display section of the settings menu, which is yet another way you can customize Jin's appearance. And while that's already a lot you can do, a ton of content was also added to the game post-launch that you now of course immediately have access to. One I very much enjoy is the lethal difficulty that massively increases both damage dealt by enemies and by Jin. So that means most fights are settled with a few swings of your katana, but you also die in like 1 or 2 hits. It's obviously the hardest difficulty in the game, but it also makes combat feel more realistic, so if you want the true samurai experience, you might want to give lethal difficulty a shot. Another post-launch addition, and another way you can tweak the gameplay, is the addition of target lock. It's found under the gameplay settings. Now, Ghost did not have a lock-on system at first, but now you can add it by changing this option if you want to keep focus on a single enemy in combat. But the biggest piece of new content is of course the Iki Island DLC, which becomes accessible after reaching the second region of the map. While the DLC introduces some tough new enemies that make it more difficult than the rest of Act 2, I still recommend doing it early if you're up for the challenge. The reason for that is the 2 mythic tales you can find in this new DLC region, and more importantly, the amazing rewards they give you. The one that starts over here gives you access to an armor that makes parrying more difficult, but also allows you to follow up with a devastating chain of counterattacks. And the other one, which begins here, will eventually give you an armor for your horse that not only looks really cool, but it also massively improves the horse charge ability that's also new for the DLC and really fun to use. And you can of course bring both these unlocks back to the main game and complete the rest of the map with these powerful items in your arsenal. So as you see, there's already a ton to keep you busy on your first playthrough, but there's even more to do after hitting the credits. For starters, getting all trophies or achievements gives you a special dye for the Ghost armor, which looks very pretty, especially with the red and gold cloak. But there's also a pretty expansive New Game Plus mode, which adds a special merchant that sells you new cosmetics and armor dyes. He even has a selection of New Game Plus exclusive charms that can do some pretty crazy stuff, like add the chance to trigger a lightning strike when you use the Heavenly Strike special attack. And on top of all that single player content, you also have the multiplayer mode Legends. The base gameplay of the combat is very similar, but Legends adds classes, gear with perks and modifiers, and many mechanics that require you to work together with 1 or more other players. Instead of an open world, Legends has you playing through 2-player story-driven levels or a 4-man survival mode on a single map. If you really want to challenge your team, there's even a 3-part raid, so a ton to sink your teeth into once you're done with the single player or when you want to enjoy the game with friends. Remember to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more videos like this, and watch our previous one going over the best weapons and abilities in the game by clicking on the screen. I'll see you in the next one, goodbye!